It's Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder. Now, 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning. That's me. I'm here with Fletcher.
We're all the young dudes.
And I'm here with Ryder.
I was so shook. I was beyond shook.
See how that works?
Yeah.
Mott the Hoople, an unfortunately named band. I'm sorry. I can never get my head around it.
It's a brutal name.
trying to get the record label off their back. They need a hit song. They can't come up with it on their own. Ian mentions it to David Bowie, and Dave goes, well, I've got one you could have. And it was all the young dudes. See, it's good to have a guy like David Bowie on your Rolodex.
What a nice guy.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Think this might work, guys? Sure. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for giving us the second half of our career.
I've always lived by that motto. It's always good to have a guy like David Bowie in your Rolodex. That's just one of those things.
It's
It gets
important.
you through life.
And by the way, not just for the song, but you know, if you're wondering which tie goes with which jacket, I mean, the guy had a fashion sense.
Yeah, well,
for days.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely fantastic. It is Wednesday. It is April the 9th, and we've got a few things on the plate for you today. Record Store Day this weekend. Look out. We got Mr. Ryder coming into the studio
man.
today.
He's already making me squirm.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
is.
we're not going to talk about records at all. I'm like,
We're-
oh, great.
All right, we're going
have
to
to
talk about
records.
We're going to talk about records at Record Store Day, and then maybe we'll talk about some of the records you've set in ways that you don't want to discuss on the air, Ryder. We'll see.
Boy.
Yeah,
We'll get around to it.
I like that.
But
Cork
right
it
now,
open.
first things first, what are the headlines, Paul Fletcher?
Yippee! I'm so excited about this. Are you ready?
I'm
E-bikes and scooters are back in Minneapolis.
Okay, then.
The city has license agreements in place with Lime and Spin for the 2025 season.
Okay.
I like how they say the 2025 season like it's a baseball season or
Right,
something
sure.
like that. They've been available since Monday this time around. They could be available year-round or at least into winter until the weather says no mo.
Okay.
So those are there. If you wanna get on one of those, I'll never ride one ever.
Really?
No.
Never?
No, I can walk.
Wow.
There was a
Can't
time.
walk that fast, dude.
There was a
Steps
time when
are
I
good.
would have, and that time has come and gone. There's a time I just don't want to deal with. I'm not worried I'll break a bone. I don't have to break a bone for my life to be horribly disrupted. Just a bump. just a. If I walk into a coffee table with my shin, I want to alert the media. I have no time for pain anymore.
If you go right, left fast,
Yeah.
you'll start to get dizzy.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what
sure.
I mean?
Oh,
Like, I
absolutely.
don't even need to hit anything.
And by the way, where KQ is, of course, we're right off to the side of Dinkytown. It's bad enough with just pedestrians who don't know how to use crosswalks. I'm talking to you students, college kids who don't know how crosswalks work. I've said it many times. Just getting from here home, twice a week, I almost run someone down, and I'm in the right, but they don't care. Put them on a scooter, and it's that much worse.
Yeah, I hate those things, and I wish they'd just go bye-bye for forever. Use your feet. Get your steps in. It's important to your heart health. Hey, I don't like getting into this stuff, but this is a big news story, and we've got to share it. A roof collapse at Jet Set Music venue in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, killed at least 98 people, injured 160 more early Tuesday. An estimated 500 people were in attendance. This is one of the country's most famous clubs. They're also well known, I didn't realize, for their Monday shows. Didn't know that. Authorities have not weighed in yet on the cause of the tragedy, which killed Provincial Governor Nelsie Cruz, which is sister of former Twins fan favorite Nelson Cruz, as well as the performer Robbie Perez and his saxophonist.
Awful.
It is awful, but you know, like, we don't like to do awful stuff. But
No. There's always something there's always an added element to when it's a concert or a nightclub or someplace where people are just out to have fun together and to remove quote unquote reality for, just for a few hours to just get away.
100%.
It's like anytime anything goes wrong at a gig or at a nightclub, there's just that added element of, oh my God, they were there to get away from the bad stuff. That's a horrible tragedy.
This one's crazy. Have you guys watched Adolescence yet?
Yes, I have.
Yes,
You
I
both have?
Oh yeah.
I need to watch it, yeah? Is it going to rip my heart out and stomp on it and throw
I
up
wouldn't
all over?
advise that every single human on the planet watch it,
I don't
but
think
it's for a certain type of person.
Can I handle it with having children, though?
It will rip your guts out, then your heart.
All right,
It's a brutal watch. I think it's an important watch.
And you know what? Millions would agree. The UK limited series Adolescence jumped from 9 to Netflix's most popular English TV list to number 4. The streamer revealed this on Tuesday. It leapfrogged seasons 1 and 3 of Bridgerton. That just gives you an idea of how massive this is. It debuted less than a month ago and already up to 114 million views. It also passed Queen's Gambit, Fool Me Once, and season 1 of The Night Agent.
I see that as hope for humanity, because the fact that Bridgerton is something people actually give a rat's ass about makes me worry for the future. And the fact that people are tuning this in says, oh, people are ready to actually think a little bit with
And
their
feel,
storytelling and recognize that we could all do better. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
And I will I'm going to make this. What are we on Wednesday?
Yeah.
I can't promise it by the end of the week, but I'm gonna get into it. And
do you know anything? Spoiler alert, and it's hardly a spoiler alert, but do you know how the show is shot?
No.
4 episodes, 4 shots, no edits.
Wow.
Which made me absolutely
by the way,
squirm the first episode.
It's mind-blowing because they're getting in vehicles and they're going to different locations and it's real time and there's not a single edit. It's all one take. It is, and so imagine the best show you've ever seen, whatever it is, The Sopranos, The Wire. What's the greatest show ever? One of those, one of the all-time great.
Right.
Now imagine if every episode was one take.
Right.
That's what this is, because the writing and the acting is as good as anything you've ever seen. Oh, and it's a production miracle.
All right.
Absolutely incredible.
All right. Well, yeah, I gotta watch it now.
In the world of sports, Minnesota Timberwolves, what are you doing? A historic night last night in Milwaukee as the Wolves blew a 24-point lead in the 4th quarter. They were outscored 39-8 in the final 10 minutes of the game. This is only the 5th time since 1996 that a team has won a game where it trailed by 24 points in the 4th quarter.
Really?
It's a gut-wrenching loss. The team started the day tied for 5th, and now they're in 8th. Hey, T-Wolves, wake up.
They're not going to. Let me just break the news to you now. People talk about this team being a contender. Contenders don't do that. It doesn't happen, ever.
Milwaukee put up a 3-2 zone defense in the 4th. That's all they did. The NBA's allowed zone now for the last few seasons, and it was a good move. But, guys, that's why we have practice, and that's why we have coaches, and that's why we have plans and strategy. It's incomprehensible to lose a 24-point lead to the Milwaukee Bucks, who are middling at best. If they were in the West, they'd be way out of the playoff picture.
Yeah. They're
still somehow 5th in the East. And then just to make it all the much more fun, the Twins lost again, too.
Well, that's fine. We just gloss over that. We expect that pretty much. But
Wild playing tonight, or do we have anything to hope for?
Wild tonight, yep. And there's possibility Kirill Kaprizov sees the ice tonight. It's not a foregone conclusion.
All right.
But there is a possibility. So if we want to end it on an up note, I was actually going to go back and hammer on the Wolves again, but let's just leave it with Kaprizov might play tonight.
That's a good news. That would be wonderful to see. Want to give a quick morning shout out to West St. Paul. Which is just a Ray Guy punt away from us right here. West side of St. Paul, glad to have you with us this morning. West St. Paul. It's never a good idea to let the public name anything. We see it with snowplows, we see it with boats. How about a public park? Never a good idea. Leave the public out of the naming games. Trust me.
It's Gorman in the morning with Fletcher and Ryder, 92 KQRS.
REM from Athens, Georgia. I've said 2 things about myself for years. I love music because of the Beatles, and I play music because of REM. I saw that band when I was in 11th grade, summer before my senior year. I guess it was, and they played at the Student Center at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, and a friend of mine got me in on a fake ID, and I had never heard of them. And it was like, I was in a tiny room with like 100 other people, and I watched this band. I couldn't understand a damn word the singer said. Stipe used to mumble in the 80s, if you remember. And I just was like, I don't know what just happened, but I have to go do that now. And I was obsessed. I was worshiping at the altar of REM until they got really popular. And then because I was a young douchebag fan, I was like, they're too popular for me now. I've got to go find another young band. And now I came back around, and now I love them again.
Everybody's been there.
Everybody's been
thought
there.
that way.
Were you ever the guy that went to the concert and you were there for the opening band, and not only did you appreciate it, but you wanted to make damn sure everyone else knew you were there for the opening band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than once.
Those people grind my gears only because that used to be me.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so embarrassing to look back.
It's like parenting your children, right? Like when they do stuff that you did, you're even harder on them.
Oh, of course. No, it's only when I see myself and my kids that I realize how messed up they are. Otherwise, I think they're wonderful human beings. San Francisco, California has got a weird plan. There's a stretch of highway that they want to turn into a new park.
Okay.
There's just an area. And by the way, taking away a highway in California, questionable decision for any reason.
Yeah.
There's a 2-mile stretch of San Francisco's Great Highway. It's the west side of the city, and they have closed it, and they're going to turn it into a new plant. A 2-mile stretch of a major thoroughfare that's on the west side of the city will now become a public park. It was passed. They put it up to a vote. It only got 54% support. And I promise you, none of those 54% people live anywhere near the west side of San Francisco. It's all the other people going, sure, that'll be great when I'm over there. But a lot of people are really, really, really pissed off about it. And then the city's like, hey, you know what? Screw it. We're going to have a great park naming contest. Write in your ideas. We'll let someone name the park. And of course, Parky McParkface, probably the first one, after the famous British Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah. I'm good with a Parky McParkface.
Parky McParkface State Park would be fantastic. I would like that. Some of the great suggestions, simply really stupid park. Another park, no one who lives here voted for this park.
I like this is stupid, let's not do it park.
Oh, sure. They've narrowed it down to 5 finalists, though. And I want to really quickly, do any of these make you feel excited? Would any of these draw you in? Playland Parkway. What?
No. Thanks.
Sunset Dunes.
It would. That one is. It's intriguing
Yeah.
until I get there and see that there probably aren't any dunes.
But if you're on the west side of San Francisco, you do have a good. I mean, you're facing west and you got the ocean.
Sure.
Sunset could be nice, but still. How about this? Simply Great Parkway. No. Plover Parkway, no. Fog Line. The Fog Line I could see.
Not bad.
The San Francisco fog, that's a thing.
Fog Line.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to Fog Line. That's not
Fog
bad.
Fog Line works.
Yeah.
Fog Line
The fog line does work. Yes.
Okay, all right. There you go, San Francisco. Give us
we
the
just
Fog
settled
Line.
it for you. But you took a questionable idea and then put a bad idea on top of that.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Minneapolis, St. Paul, in conjunction, have agreed to just turn 94 between the two cities into a park for the next 8-10 months.
Well, I tell you what, yeah.
Or a parking lot. I'm sorry, I had that wrong. I'm sorry. It's a parking lot, not a park.
You
Do
know
we
what,
get to
though?
name that one?
All you got to do is, right? All you got to do is put a swing set in there, and it is a park.
I did. I was on Twin Cities Live yesterday over at
You
Channel
were?
5. Hung out. Really nice. What a nice group of people.
Yeah.
What a cool thing it was.
Ben
you know what
Lieber's
wasn't cool?
Quality human.
Getting out of that. He is a quality human. Getting out of that studio at 4:40 p.m. and
It's Twin
driving
Cities Live,
home
man. Yeah.
for about an hour. I'm not kidding. In every direction, it was just bumper to bumper. It was like it's a reference no one will get, but it was like Freaknik. I was sitting there, Rosemary and I in the car for an hour to go 4.5 miles.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute nightmare. And I'm going to reiterate what I said yesterday. Hey, but at least they're fixing those roads because, man, I've lived in a place where they don't, and I'll take it. There. I've had to bring it around full circle. Fair enough. Hey, quick question, guys. Are those eggs in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me?
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the morning on Minnesota's 92 KQRS. Oh, that band right there, AC/DC?
Oh, yeah.
Huh, Australian lads, or at least the young brothers are Australian. They'll be at the U.S. Bank Stadium tomorrow night, kicking off their North American tour for this year.
Oh, so stoked.
Hell yes, they will. They got a pop-up high-voltage dive bar at the machine shop across the river. That's going on today and tomorrow. You can get over there, buy some merch, hang out, pick up a special release of their latest album, Power Up on vinyl. It's all happening. AC/DC, I saw yesterday, like on Twitter, they wrote, "We're here, Minneapolis." Like, they're in town.
I think they actually put that up on Sunday, and I'm like, this is going to be a hell of a production if they came in town that early.
Yeah, that's
Well,
they've been
I
here
do
for
like
days,
to read social media posts 48 hours after the fact. So, yeah, that checks out. It would be Sunday. I have a 48-hour delay on all my feeds, in case you're wondering why I haven't gotten back to you.
I think probably my favorite Back in Black story, though, is Bryn Ahrens from the local band Flip playing that song by himself at first half. Drums, guitar, the whole thing, all by himself.
Oh, neat.
It was the hell. I mean, that's some skill right there.
That's an
Cranked up
effort.
the reverb and one-handed the guitar while he was playing the.
It's skill if you can do that, and it sucks. If it's good, it's real impressive.
I mean, I could tell what song it was, so it had to be at least kind of good, right?
Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday morning here in the Twin Cities,
and I had
it's
a dilemma.
Going to be a glorious day, and I've just got to ask, what's going on over there?
What's going on over there? So yesterday, my wife and I, first of all, are trying to eat a little healthier. I think that anytime you full-blown jump into something, it doesn't stick.
Right.
So we're just trying to make small changes. Instead of having crap to start the day. So anyway, yesterday morning I wake up, and there's a note on the counter. It says, fridge. I go to the fridge, and there's a little bowl, and it has a note on top that says, eggs, I love you. And it's 4 hard-boiled eggs. and I immediately think,
okay,
I work in a studio,
right?
Literally 4 feet away from Steve. I can't bring hard-boiled
eggs for you to bring to work, not for you to wolf down standing at the kitchen sink before you drive in.
I mean, I don't do that. I don't
I
allow myself
imagined
time
you
for
eating
that.
them in the car on your really long commute in.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. But yeah, no, I don't. You know what? The hunger doesn't hit immediately.
Okay.
I don't leave myself enough time to do all of that.
That's true.
And so I'm struck with the idea of like, she doesn't understand. I can't bring these in the studio with. So I've been actually leaving and having one, and I'm still have 2 more. Sitting in the fridge right now.
Every time there's a break, you get up and run off like a man chasing a hard-boiled egg. Now it's making sense.
Yeah, it's precisely what's happening. And it
so,
got me thinking like close quarters work environments.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even if it's cubicles and it's not that close, there's a code.
So hold on. Your concern is not for the inevitable gas these will bring, but the real time, just the smell of hard-boiled eggs. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the gas, I mean, if the gas happens
later,
that's tough beans. I mean, and even if it happens here, we've already discussed it. You've opened that can. So if I have to let one go, I'm going to let it go.
Feel free.
Absolutely. I won't tell you, though. It'll be a sneak attack.
It's fine. It's quite all right. Growing up with 5 older brothers, I'm immune to things like, I really actually, there's parts of my life I'm very refined, very dignified, very protocol savvy.
Yeah,
things like body odors and smells and weird taking out the trash.
Sure.
I'm a caveman. I grew up in a house. Now, my parents ran a tight ship, make no mistake about it. The place was always clean, but right before it was clean, it was a horror show, if that makes sense. I mean, just 6 boys in a house. It's like you can't get away from smells. You can't get away from really, really gross things in the hamper. Anyway, my point is, thank you for your concern.
It was the first thing I thought of. For real, I'm like, I can't bring these into the studio and eat them. You know what, though, really quick, with having that many brothers, how many times, farts happen, but how many times were you farted on purposely? Like, too many to count?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, before I knew what numbers were, the number had reached infinity. In fact, listen. Here, if you want to know how many times I was farted on with 5 older brothers, this is a game we used to play. It was called Block That Kick. And here's how the game worked.
Oh, my God.
You would take a football, and you would walk up to someone from behind and scream, "Block that kick," and punt it into their body with everything you had. That was a normal, just any time. Hey, block that kick.
In the house?
Anywhere.
Oh,
yeah. In the house with a Nerf football, in the yard with a real football.
Okay.
But I've had footballs punted into my midsection countless times. So, being farted on, when there's that many brothers, one holds you down, the other farts right on you. That's just life, man.
I don't know that there's anything like taking a football to the taint, though.
No, nothing.
That's
other than, a soccer ball.
Soccer ball, yeah.
That was my experience. I never played football. I did play soccer, and
hockey puck to the taint.
Standing in the wall on soccer, like play a little defense. I was a sweeper, so I was always back there, right in the middle of the wall. Took a few to the stones over the years. But it's an interesting point you make. The food protocol, the stinky food protocol. I don't think about it so much in a work environment because I just haven't had those experiences. But I do know this: I've gotten on many an airplane where somebody decides, I'm just going to bring some food on my flight. And sometimes it's a Blimpie sub from the airport, Blimpie. And if you know anything about Blimpie, you know that they coat those things with onions.
I think the bread's made out of onions.
Oh, my God. It's an astonishing breach of everything I expect from a civilized society when someone brings one of those onto a plane.
So how about hit us up with worst work food situation that you've ever encountered, 651-989-ROCK. Like, for example, we had somebody at my previous place that reheated fish in the microwave, and that's
not true. That's not possible.
Dead serious, dude. I'm not going to name names, but dead serious. And here's the worst part: the ventilation above the kitchen went to our studio directly. The studio I worked in. It
seems like an engineering misfire.
Or intentional. You know how engineers are. And didn't hit the sorry. It didn't hit the sales force, but it came directly into the studio, and it was awful.
What do you know? What kind of fish this was? Was it like
fish sticks?
No. It would be It would be a breast of some, not breast, but you know what I mean. It would be a fillet of some sort.
Fillet of some sort.
Can you tell I don't eat fish?
It's starting to become apparent.
The smell I couldn't tell you if it was salmon or tilapia or whatever. It would I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I do know that the fridge here. I haven't spent a lot of time near the refrigerator in this building just because it's too early, and I don't really eat in the mornings anyway. But I've had a few moments where I walk by and I'm like, oof, come on, what's happening in here?
Buzz,
I don't. As I
Woof.
said, I don't have the typical workplace experience with food and stuff. But I spent years on a tour bus, which is a workplace. Ultimately,
Absolutely.
it's an unusual
Closer
one.
quarters.
But no, you're with people living on that bad boy, and there is a refrigerator, and there is a toaster, and there's a microwave, and there's whatever anyone wants to bring on there. There are some horrific smells, but the added bonus is also sweaty tube socks and also just general sweat. That's a pretty. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh God, I've had some serious workplace food reheating protocol disruption. 651-989-ROCK. Let us know your most disgusting workplace food protocol breach. Paul very, very lovingly going out of the studio to eat his hard-boiled eggs. A nutritious way to start the day by any measure.
Lots of protein, baby.
A lot of
good solid fats in there, too.
Yeah, it's good for you. And it's good for me that you're walking out in the hallway to eat that. So thank you again.
I'm walking all the way over to the kitchen, which is, a quick...
Man.
Yeah,
Even
I'm getting my steps
better.
into. It's a win-win.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ talk and text line. Lori from Burnsville is on the horn. Lori, good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening over there?
Well, I just wanted to tell you guys about the worst thing that ever happened in my office.
All right.
I worked at the old Midtown Global building, the old Sears building.
Okay.
We were up on the 4th floor. Girl goes into the break room and starts her popcorn on fire.
Okay, yeah, that happens.
All the smoke detectors are going off. All the alarms are going off. She's begging us not to tell anybody it's her. Mm-hmm. Smoke is so bad you can hardly see. All of a sudden, here comes these firefighters carrying axes and hoses going through our office. It was hilarious. It was winter, and we had to evacuate and stand outside. Couldn't grab coats, anything. And all of that for a popcorn that went on fire in the microwave. We had a memo the next day. Absolutely no popcorn being allowed in the building.
Yeah.
They took popcorn out of the vending machine. We never had popcorn there again.
Why do they got to take it out on the pre-popped popcorn? What did that ever do? That's not fair.
What about did she face any blowback? I mean, she wasn't fired or anything. Was she reprimanded in any way?
I don't know that everybody found out it was her. There were a handful of us that knew.
Wow.
But, they took the microwave out. You should have seen the firefighter carrying the microwave out. It was hilarious.
I imagine the smell lasted a while. But one thing we've learned about Lori, she's no rat. Good employee, good co-employee Lori. She didn't rat out the microwave. Thanks for the call, Lori. We appreciate it. In case you're wondering, I do know that a yellow jacket wasps, if you burn them on a very bright light bulb, it smells just like burnt popcorn. That's a story for another day, but trust me, don't assume it's burnt popcorn. You may have a wasp nest in your house.
That sounds like a story of a guy with 5 brothers.
651-989-ROCK. Doug is on the line right now with a story. Doug, what do you got for us, brother?
Hey, what I got? All right, so I was working with a parts company in St. Paul that's no longer with us, but we're doing inventory.
R.I.P.
It's really early, and the dude is reheating haggis in the microwave.
Haggis?
Good Lord.
You know what haggis is?
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap shoved into a sheep's bladder that they like in Scotland. Who would be walking around with haggis?
Yeah, meat and barley shoved into a sheep's stomach.
Oh.
That's
Man.
a fireable offense, if you ask me. For real.
OMG. I can't even describe the smell. It is like none other. It almost, There's nothing in the world.
Like people that eat haggis. It's like I used to go. I was on my way to a party, and if it was bring your own, I'd buy Milwaukee's best beer. Just that way, I knew nobody would steal it.
That's a pro drinking tip.
See?
I like that.
That's like get the worst thing you can. If you're bringing haggis to work, you're going to get every last bite. Thanks for the call, Doug. I can't believe we just got a haggis story.
I know.
Holy crap! I've had one bite of haggis in my life. True story. And I put it down and I chased it with a whole lot of Scottish ale just so I could say I did it. Never again, man. That was pretty rough.
Yeah, that's brutal. No interest whatsoever.
Come, dude. It's a classic dish. Like, shut up, dude. Groundskeeper Willie, keep it to yourself. I can't be dealing with no haggis. 651-989-ROCK if you want to hit us up. A lot of texts have come in with some workplace food protocol disasters. How about this? Not only fish, someone wrote, Ernie heated up lutefisk. Heated up. Passenger next to me cracked open a can of tuna fish on a Greyhound bus and ate with his fingers.
Ugh.
Oh, come on.
Well, the key word there is Greyhound bus. No rules.
That's true.
That's
true.
the joy. As a guy who spent a lot of years riding Greyhounds around when I was in college and beyond, there's the things that happen on Greyhound bus. You know, the what stays in Vegas happens, whatever that is, the Vegas slogan.
Yeah.
That's really the Greyhound slogan. What happens on a Greyhound stays on a Greyhound.
That, and I believe Greyhound directly translates into no rules.
Oh,
Pretty sure that's the
true.
direct translation.
Yeah, the reason the cocktail Greyhound is called the Greyhound is because you get enough of those, and then you're like, you can handle a ride on a Greyhound. You need a lot of gin and a lot of grapefruit juice.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Foo Fighters right there. That's the guy that used to be in Nirvana. I remember it was still that for a long time. Dave Grohl had to
that's not
be...
true.
Man, by the end of the 90s, it was still the guy from Nirvana. I'm telling you.
He was in Nirvana? I'm kidding.
Yeah. Before that, Scream. He was the guy from Scream, and then he was the guy from Nirvana.
Yeah.
And now he's the guy from the Foos, I guess.
It blows me away that first Foo Fighters record was all Dave. Everything. Every instrument, all the writing, I think he produced it, too?
And that blows you away. Why?
Just because it...
You ever heard of Prince?
I mean, sure.
These things
Mic
happen.
drop.
Okay, so then, you know what? So then if Dave Grohl pulled a Prince, then yeah, I'm pretty blown away.
Well,
Take
hang on.
that.
He didn't pull a Prince. He pulled a Dave. It's different.
Pulled a Dave.
It is a different thing.
It is Dave. For sure it's different.
Much love to
Still
both
impressive.
artists, but
Still
I'm saying
impressive.
it's a little different.
Still impressive.
It is still impressive. Make no mistake about it. I always look at Foo Fighters. The two things, Foo Fighters and Hootie and the Blowfish. I'm like the two worst band names of all time, and it doesn't matter. And it makes me realize it doesn't matter. Just pick a name.
Is Foo Fighters one of the worst?
Oh, it's awful.
I don't mind it.
He hates it.
I think it's kind of cool.
Dave hates it.
Is it because everybody shortens it to foos?
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Fighters
think
of
about
Foo.
it, the first time you ever heard of it, you were like, Foo Fighter? What the hell does
Yes.
that mean? Food
Yeah.
fighters? Remember that whole thing? Did
Yeah.
he mean to say food fighters? Was he thinking about Animal House?
I don't think you got it wrong.
It's Wednesday. It's April the 9th. Paul, what's happening in the world? I'm feeling Minnesota, and I need some headlines, damn it.
Okay, gosh. Minnesota's blackout license plates, they've been a huge hit. I don't know if you've heard. Here's who's buying them. People between the ages of 45 and 54 who drive luxury cars or live in fast-growing cities in northwestern Hennepin County. That's the top buyers
Really?
of Minnesota's blackout license plates.
Okay.
The tags, they've got the block white letters against the black background.
Yeah.
They've been the top-selling specialty plate of the 123 that Minnesota made available, and it's not even close. Nearly 250,000 blackout license plates sold.
I'll go ahead and come clean. I got one this year. I switched. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Not because I'm trying to keep up with the northwestern Hennepin County 45 to 54-year-old people in luxury cars.
You're a liar.
Because none of those things apply to my situation. I am not a visual person. I don't notice... if you point out a great roof line, look at the architecture, I'll go, oh my God, that's cool. But I wouldn't have noticed it myself.
Sure.
I really don't take things in visually like in real time. I can be directed there. You can lead my horse to water and I will drink, but I need help. My wife, everything's visual. She's just like pop, 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 notices everything. Very rarely something, and I only notice things usually when they rub me the wrong way. And from the time I got a car in Minnesota, I didn't like the old plate against the color of my car. It always felt like I was chewing a little bit of aluminum foil when I would look at my own license plate.
Over a license plate.
And how stupid is that? I've never noticed a license plate on a car I've ever had in my whole life. But there was something about the dark green versus that white with the little baby blue weird, what the standard Minnesota plate.
Yeah.
And I saw the black plate last year and I was like, that would look way better on my car. And then I saw my exact car with the exact color with the black plate and I was like, oh, damn it, I got to get it. So when I got the renewal thing, I was like, all right, I got 15 extra bucks. Or whatever it was.
I thought, and then 30 a year too, because you have to
there it is.
Pay the super special.
That's what it was.
I'm special fee. You know what? That actually deterred me. I've become that much of a cheapskate.
Nice.
It's ridiculous. No, it's not nice. All right, this one's coming out of left field. I'm pretty sure that neither of you have seen this story, but this is crazy. That's why I had to share. Scientists exploring an underwater volcano off Canada's Pacific coast made some surprising discoveries. They found that an ancient volcano, once thought to be inactive, is actually still active and releasing warm fluids into the surrounding waters.
It's important to know these things.
What could go wrong? Well, yeah, because who wants to sleep at night?
Yeah.
That wasn't the most surprising part of their discovery. The volcano's slopes are covered with about 1 million large eggs. According to marine biologists, the eggs belong to the Pacific white skate, a deep-sea fish related to rays and sharks. These skates seem to use the volcano's warmth to help incubate their eggs, which can take up to 4 years to hatch.
Sea creatures are crafty.
I mean,
okay,
but think about this: underwater volcano that is apparently active with all kinds of gross eggs. That's a fantasy flick.
Well, the Pacific white skate, you'll be pleased to know, looks like an albino stingray that wants to murder all of us. That's what it looks like.
That's exactly what I was envisioning.
But you go pet the stingrays. I mean,
tell that to the crocodile hunter. Okay?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Steve Irwin. I do miss that dude.
Man.
Yeah.
Crikeys, he was a good guy.
Whoever thought a stingray would be the one? How pissed off were those crocodiles?
Right?
They wanted a chat. They wanted a shot at him.
They were definitely angry about that. So anyway, just be aware of the volcano that's apparently active on Canada's Pacific coast. I love how this is positioned as if we already knew about it. I had no clue that this was even coming, that this was in the works. But the upcoming show, Monopoly, is described as a large-scale social experiment contest. What could go wrong? Where players will navigate capitalism and chaos in a ruthless quest to win it all. They'll have to make alliances, break them, and it's being teased as a cutthroat game of strategy and betrayal, which is exactly what we need to promote in our culture in America in this day and age.
Wow. That's going to...
This could be massive.
Are there going to be dogs? Do I get to be the thimble?
I haven't even... This is the first I'm hearing of it, and I'm already willing to say it's going to be an incredible success for Netflix.
It's going to be massive, and it's going to be a train wreck, and it's going to probably be very embarrassing.
It's like Survivor with nudity and cuss words. It's going to be huge. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's going to be that could be massive.
All right, that's impressive. Quick couple of sports notes from you. The Twins suck. Okay, moving on. They lost again last night to the Royals.
Hey, how'd the Wolves do?
Minnesota Timberwolves were just holding court in Milwaukee last night. A 24-point lead in the fourth quarter, but over the Giannis-led Bucks, and then the collapse started. Milwaukee, being the Milwaukee Bucks, being those duplicitous bastards they are, played a zone defense, and suddenly the Minnesota Timberwolves fell apart. A 39-8 run in the final 10 minutes. Milwaukee, only the fifth team in 30 seasons to win a game that they had trailed by over 20 points in the fourth quarter. A disgusting night for the T-Wolves. Oddly enough, and this is how you know the Wolves are sweating it, they went over and above to pretend that it didn't really matter. It's just one of those nights. We just missed our shots. It's no big deal. Julius Randle was the only guy who absolutely came clean. He said, I'm not going to try to tell anyone how to play us, but if I was playing us in the playoffs, I'd just look at tonight. Like, hey, Julius, thanks for being honest about it. If teams are smart, that's what they're going to do.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you want a preview of how to beat the Timberwolves, the Milwaukee Bucks provided that last night. I'm still a believer. I think playoff basketball, because you play the same team over and over and over and over, at least 4 times, it's a very, very different game. The T-Wolves are, talent-wise, when they're on, they're on. I don't think they're going to the finals, but they're going to win a series.
I think consistency is an issue, and I'm sorry to be contrarian to you, but I think you're off on this one.
Now I'm gonna. I think
they S the bed in glorious fashion. That is, if they even make the playoffs.
Okay, fine. Just spoil the party, Paul.
You know what? I'll bring the party up. The Wild look like they may finally be. Here's the thing about the Wild. They had, I don't know if you remember this, because it was a long time ago, or at least it feels like it. They had the best record in the league. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
November, maybe?
December.
Okay.
Yeah, it all went south when Kaprizov went down. But when they're healthy, they're a very talented team. Not a lot of depth because of the cap issues they're up against. Kaprizov and Jules Eriksson-Ek look like they could be returning as early as tonight.
That is good news.
We don't know this, but it's possible.
I will welcome both gentlemen back to the ice. Bradford, Minnesota, good morning. Glad to have you with us. Bradford.
They love the Wild in Bradford.
They love the Wild in Bradford.
Think they
Absolutely. You're damn straight they do.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to go back to this Monopoly TV series. I got some thoughts. I'm going to have to connect some dots. Paul, you said a minute ago, Netflix announced a new show after a competitive bidding process for a Monopoly competition series, a TV show, a real-life show based on the board game Monopoly.
Hasbro is thrilled about this.
I imagine they are. I'm curious how that's going to work. It says a large-scale social experiment contest. Now, you're buying up properties in Monopoly. Will they literally have people buying properties? Will they create a town with these street names, with these? Will they? I'm curious how this is going to work. I wish I weren't, but you've whet the appetite for this. As a lifelong Monopoly player and one who enjoys the game, who are you going to fight over? Who gets to be the banker? Are you going to rely on personal relationships to let the bank go a little loosey goosey with your payment plans? I mean, how's this going to work?
I hate to take this This feels like a cop out on my part, but it's truly. It's cliche too, but the possibilities are endless of what they could do with this. I mean, you have to imagine it's going to be all within, a tank, if you will, of you can't go out and do this in reality. I mean, you can't.
You got to do it like Truman Show. You got to build a whole bubble universe, a whole fake world.
Yeah, that would actually be. Truman Show is a brilliant analogy, actually, and that would be if you can afford to do that. I can't imagine what it's like to actually build a town like that. But if you could create a world to have this take place in, that would be insane. I mean, and just let literal anarchy and insanity and chaos reign would be that'd be intriguing. I'd be compelled.
Recently. Well, over sometime, probably 4 years ago. At some point when it was still very much locked down. So 5 years ago, 2020, at some point.
Yeah.
Me, Rosemary, and the kids, we pulled out the Monopoly game and we sat down and we're gonna really go for it because we had a million games you start and never really finish, and we're like, well, no one's leaving the house. Let's just play a full game of Monopoly. And I pulled out the rule book and for the first time probably in my life actually read the rule book. And there were some things that we had all done not correctly, going by the rules. And that's one thing. I did the same thing with Uno recently, and I realized we'd been playing Uno wrong. A lot of Uno Gorman rules that don't apply.
But here's the thing, though. Are you really playing it wrong? I mean, it's Uno at a table with your family.
It was interesting to realize, like, there's actually more to this than, like, the way we were keeping score didn't even make sense. It was crazy. I was like, how did we get... It was like...
You were keeping score in Uno? I thought you just had to get rid of all your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who are left with cards, you add up how much they have.
Yeah.
And you play until somebody...
Like 10 points for the wild card or something like that?
20 or... No, 50 for a draw 4, 20 for the draw 2s, and then the others are the number value. And then if somebody gets... Like when someone hits 100 points or 500, they're out of the game. And then, but apparently what it is no, when you get rid of all your cards, you get all the points the other people have. It's just kind of doing it backwards.
Oh, you acquire their points, basically. So you want to lead in points.
The idea that there was a rule book that we had ignored. But then again, that's my whole life. I don't read the instructions or the setup or the rules. I take something out of the box, I plug it in, and I figure it out. And sometimes it takes me an hour, and I'm really angry. And then my wife just reads the instructions, and it all makes sense.
I don't know. If it's too complicated to turn it into a drinking game, I don't think I want to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
So no fellowship amongst your family and friends at a table. You have to be hammered. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, sure, I don't have kids, so that makes it a lot freer.
That is fellowship. If we can't drink and play Monopoly together, what are we doing?
Yes.
What about sober games? Not doable?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
Silver games?
How does that work?
Good
Sober
to know.
games.
Good to know. Have you ever heard of the game, and this doesn't need to turn into conversation, I'm just curious if you've ever played or heard of the game Wizard, either of you?
No.
Okay. Discussion for another time.
Wizard. No, but I would not be a part of a Netflix show based on Monopoly.
No.
I would play the game of life, though, because you get a car, they give you a spouse, you have babies. Oh, wait, I already did that. It sucked. My bad.
Barrel of Monkeys, let's go.
That's right. Netflix Barrel of Monkeys. That's not now we're getting into something.
Now we're getting somewhere.
What's your current pet status, Paul?
We have a 4-year-old Shih Tzu named Charlie, and she's great. Best dog we've ever had.
A Shih Tzu, that's a pocket rat. It's like a purse rat.
Lhasa Apso, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A what?
Purse rat.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. You see rich women, and they always have a big, like a purse, and there's the dog's head poking out of it.
Not that small. A little bigger than that.
Okay, a little bigger than that. All right, I got it.
Not fitting in you have to get a special purse to carry this one around.
Ryder, your pet situation, I believe we're talking reptiles, correct?
We got 4 tortoises that are not turtles. They are tortoises.
Watch.
And we got 1 fat kitty cat.
You do have a fat kitty cat.
Yes.
Okay.
Tortoises get pissed.
I imagine the tortoises don't go missing very often.
No, but they're speedier than you might think.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
biggest tortoise, how big are we talking?
about the size of a football.
Oh, okay. All right. So not one of those Darwin, Galapagos, like the size of a pinto tortoises. Okay, very good.
No, nothing like that. Those suckers live for like 200 years.
Yeah, they really do. I was backstage at a venue once in the mid '90s, and a giant sea tortoise washed up. It had died, and in Long Island, a venue called Jones Beach. Right on the backstage area, there's like a dock, and people go out there and fish, and there was just a tortoise floating dead. And
That's not the dock that Tommy used to work on, is it?
What's that?
That's not the dock that Tommy used to work on.
Who's Tommy?
Tommy used to work on the docks.
Whoa. We're living on a prayer.
Yes, please. I'm sorry. We there was a Coast Guard. Some guys came in, or I don't know, guys on boats with guns. I guess they were Coast Guard, or maybe they're just water cops.
I hope they were.
But they were called in, and they showed up, and they were looking at it, and there was one of the guys said, "This animal's at least 250 years old," and we just all sat there, and I was like, that dude was around when George Washington was alive. Holy crap. Nice life, dude.
Yeah. It's not a bad run.
But all this to say, but your tortoises, your Shih Tzu, they probably haven't gone missing all that often if they ever have. Although, you're giving me the look, Paul, that says, no, not so fast.
No, we did. The first dog we had in the family went missing.
What kind of dog was this?
A Lhasa Apso. We've always had those. There are a lot of allergies in the family, and that's one that doesn't have any. And dude disappeared. Maple Grove, mean streets of Maple Grove. He was gone the entire day. It was full on. It felt like a scene out of Goonies. All of my friends were on bikes going all over neighborhoods. He was probably gone for, I would guess, 8-9 hours.
Okay.
Thinking we're probably never seen.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
In
found
real
him
time.
under a slide. Yeah, found him under a slide at the park.
And all was well.
All was well. Thank goodness.
All right. Well, and I'm not diminishing the stress of that day at all.
I can't even imagine.
But how about this?
Yeah.
A woman in Louisiana rode out 5 years ago Hurricane Laura when it rolled through.
Okay.
She apparently survived. Her house was intact, but her dog wasn't. Her Yorkshire Terrier went missing during the storm.
Oh, bummer.
And then apparently some gentlemen at Southern Mississippi University in the Kappa Sigma fraternity house found this dog. They checked the chip, and it was determined, this dog has an owner. It was 5 years later. This dog has just now been returned after 5 years on the run. A Yorkshire Terrier is not a big animal, and it's been in the wild for 5 years. Here's a little bit of the dudes at the frat and the dog's owner.
I never thought I would see him again.
And I walk outside, and there's just this Yorkie just sitting there in a red T-shirt. The next day, our vice president went and got his chip checked, and that's when we found out that his name was actually Kingston, not Benji, and he had been missing for 5 years, which is kind of crazy.
But before I could call him, he called me. My heart just started pounding, and I told my boss, I was like, I found Kingston. And we both just started yelling and screaming. He's so beautiful. So happy to have my baby back.
Got my baby back.
You have already got think of the psychological trip this is, right?
Yeah.
You've gone through the grieving process.
Yeah.
The dog's gone. The dog ain't coming back. You've maybe even gotten a new dog.
Sure.
And then boom, here's your precious Kingston again.
I'm convinced if Chauncey Gorman disappeared for 5 days, he'd forget all about us. We'd be like, Chauncey, he'd be like, nah, man, I'm sorry. I'm with these people now. I'm with this pack of dogs right now. 5 years removed. That would be weird. I love dogs. I would be devastated if something happened to Chauncey like this. But yeah, after 5 years, you've gone through so many other things. And would the dog really want to come back at that point? Well, it's like starting from scratch. I can't imagine a dog is truly going to remember, oh, yeah, this is the woman that lost sight of me during a hurricane.
I mean, we've seen video of this sort of thing before, and it appears that the dogs have some kind of recognition, or maybe they're just real excited for no reason. I can never tell with a dog.
It is tough to tell. I choose to believe that they do remember, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't. Has there ever been here's the thing we need to do a scientific study on: the dog's memories and the recall and what they keep and what they don't keep and how long, etc. Where's that story?
I've not had experienced this as a pet owner. I've had pets my whole life. I've never had a dog or a cat that was missing for a very long time. Other than, well, there's the one exception is back in the 70s, before leashes were a thing and before neutering was a thing, we had a dog, a Springer Spaniel. Those are generally smaller dogs, mid-size. But the biggest Springer Spaniel I've ever seen in my life was our dog, Rusty. He was over 50 pounds and tall. He was a freakly large Springer. And we never got him neutered, which I didn't realize in the 70s as a kid was weird. And every year, this time of year at some point, he would disappear for 3/4, one time 5 days. And it was because there would be a dog in heat somewhere within 500 miles.
Well, yeah.
And he would just disappear, and he would eventually make his way back home. He would have been in several fights. Looked like he'd been shivved a couple times. There'd be open wounds. He smelled like a barn. He'd been rolling in all sorts of euphemistic hay, as it were, and he would come back and sleep for like 3 straight days. I mean, he was on an all-night bender toga party style.
It was like he's on spring break.
It really was. Yeah. It was a Rumspringa, if you will. And then he would return back to the barn and say, "I'm going to choose a life of Amish abstinence for the rest." But here's the thing: he would disappear. And it would always be my mom would be, "Oh, there must be a dog in heat." Like it's no big deal. And I'm like, so wait, so he's just invading some other family's dog's yard right now and then fighting other male dogs? The 70s were a trip. That's all I can say.
A quick Google search yielded this. Dogs can remember important people and significant events. Why do I have difficulty speaking? It's my job. In their lives for years, perhaps until death. They associate sights, sounds, and smells.
Okay.
So, theoretically,
right.
Kingston remembered her.
I can see that. Our dog Clementine, our greatest dog ever, I would have tried. There's nothing that dog wouldn't have retained and remembered and learned. Yeah. She was brilliant. Chauncey's just a knucklehead. I mean, lovely guy. I love him with all my heart, but he's just a little, the bulbs are a little dimmer than I'm used to. That's all. I'll just say it.
He's just friends with everybody.
He really is. Know? Everybody's his best friend. If he went home with you tonight, Ryder, he'd literally, within 3 days, he'd be like, "I think I've always been with these tortoises." Yeah, I feel like I'm really at home here. This is how this works. Got a good pet reunion story? We're all for it. 651-989-ROCK. 989-ROCK. Rock.
I like
651-989-ROCK is your KQ talk and text line. LC from Minneapolis is on the horn, and he's got a cat story. LC, good morning, brother.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
My girlfriend was cleaning the house, left the window open, and the cat got out. And 10 weeks later, we found the animal control found the cat.
Okay.
Laying in the backyard 2.5 blocks away.
Right.
And it went from 20 pounds to 8 pounds, and it put it up in the sun on the counter for a week. It didn't move, but he made a full recovery.
Oh, your cat left 20 pounds and came back 8 pounds.
Yes, he was 12 years old at the time.
Wow. Damn. So that's about I'm top of my head, 60% body weight loss in 10 weeks. Not a bad plan, honestly. I mean, it could be worse.
He just passed away at 20 last November.
Oh, that's a good long run with a bit of a hiccup there in the middle. That must have been a pretty stressful 10 weeks.
Yeah, he was. They gave him a flea bath. He looked horrible.
Yeah, but, I'm sure he did. LC, thanks for the call, brother. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Man, that's a rough one. The good thing about when cats disappear, though, the story's always the same. Yeah, he was just up the street. He was up the road. Someone else just offered a can of tuna fish, and that was it.
Just hung out
Sealed
there.
the deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm wondering?
What's that?
I'm just wondering if the cat kept the weight off.
Hang on.
If the cat made it all the way to 20, he had to have.
Man, no question.
Or did he go back to his old bad habits and balloon back up to 20?
Let's see. I would hope he learned his lesson. I would hope so.
He kept the way up.
It's like when it's like in the 90s when we'd all come off Atkins. Oh man, I thought that was permanent.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the Morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder on Minnesota's 92 KQRS. Good Wednesday morning. It is April the 9th. April the 8th yesterday, and I don't think we even marked it on the show. April 8th is the day that the world find out about the death of Kurt Cobain. He did himself in on the 5th, but he wasn't found until the 8th. And I remember driving. I played around a golf that morning, and I was driving home, and I was in this old car that had an AM radio, and I was listening to a sports talk show on AM radio, and a guy called in and said, "Hey man, did you hear about Cobain?" And the host said, "Yeah, he shot himself," and he just moved on from it. And I was driving, and I just went, "Wait, what did he just say?"
Sorry, what?
Pre-cell phone, no one to call. I just drove home, and I ran upstairs and got into my apartment, and the TV was on. I put on MTV, and Kurt Loder was on my screen with tears in his eyes, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me." I remember that very, very, very clearly and viscerally forever, and that's 31 years ago now. Kind of shocking.
Yeah, and then you watch the vigils on MTV and Courtney Love's craziness and et cetera. That's what I remember, I guess. I don't know why, but the thing that I think of first is just watching watching all those people congregate, and in a way, I guess it validated everything I was feeling. Like, there's a big old group of people in Seattle that are feeling the exact same way I am.
Absolutely. You were a kid, Ryder.
I was 11 years old.
Wow.
But I didn't really discover Nirvana until after Kurt had passed. But I do remember Courtney Love being on TV and reading his note.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy.
A bit of a stretch there. Yeah. Interesting times, to be very sure. A couple of sports notes. The Minnesota Twins baseball squad in Kansas City, well, they lost again 2-1 last night. Kansas City won their 4th game in 5 tries, despite managing just 2 unearned runs on 3 hits. This is a sloppy Twins team so far, man. We're gonna have to ramp it up there, fellas. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Hey, man, they're in 5th place in the West when tip-off last night at tip-off. A tie for 5th place, and after their loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, they're in 8th place. So it's a tough loss in terms of playoff positioning. It's a gut-wrenching loss when you realize that when the 4th quarter started, Minnesota had a 24-point lead. A 24-point lead blown in 10 minutes of a game. The Bucks went on a 39-8 tear as Minnesota decided we don't need to score anymore. We've done enough. This is a tough thing this close to the end of the season for the Timberwolves. The team insisted it's not a big deal. It's an anomaly. Hey, they put a weird zone defense on us. We didn't adapt. Well, guess what? That's a part of the game.
What else are you going to say? That's all they're going to say, and it's a bunch of you-know-what. It's over.
Minnesota has a couple of home games against Brooklyn and Utah. Those are terrible teams. It's pretty much a safe bet they're going to at least win out.
So
we'll see what happens.
They'll split them. They'll split those.
Oh, boy, man.
I'm full negative on these guys. You know what, though? I'm positive. Can I chime in on your sports? Because I've got an update for you.
Feel free.
Minnesota Wild, from the writer of all writers, Michael Russo, 12 minutes ago. Big Minnesota Wild news, hearing if today's morning skate goes well. Both Kirill Kaprizov and Jules Eriksson will return tonight against the Sharks. So it's adding fuel to what we were talking about, our fire we were discussing earlier.
Very nice. Glad to hear that.
End on a positive on all of that.
We certainly will. Shakopee, glad to have you with us this morning. I know there's a lot of Wild fans. I know there's a lot of rock music fans in Shakopee.
Oh, yeah.
And we're very happy to have you with us. I have to follow up with one final text. We were talking about pet disappearance and reunion stories. Our buddy Tubby, a regular contributor to the KQ Talking text line, said, this is going back a ways, 1985, Hurricane Kate hit Mexico Beach, Florida. Mandatory evacuation for all residents the night before. I wasn't going to leave without my cat, Bike. The cat's name is Bike, who was outside chasing fireflies. Let's just pause a minute. I love the idea of a cat just out there chasing fireflies, living its best cat life.
Yes.
Sadly, had to evacuate up to Weewahichka without her. Next morning, I drive back into the little beach town. Destruction everywhere. I pull up, and there's Bike sitting on the front steps. Rode the storm out with the fireflies. All was well. That's a good story. I don't return home after a hurricane expecting to find my cat. So, Tubby, yet again, contributing positivity to the show. Speaking
Thanks,
of positivity, we're just moments away from talking about Record Store Day. That's going to be kind of exciting, don't you think?
Definition of
Record
positive.
Store Day
Oh,
with
boy.
a very special guest, Ryder.
What? Yes. I think he's on the road right now listening.
This is very exciting. It's just a matter of time.
It's Gorman in the morning with Fletcher and Ryder, 92 KQRS.
AC/DC right there on your speaker. AC/DC at the U.S. Bank Stadium tomorrow night, for crying out loud. They're going to kick off.
They've only been here for 4 days setting that thing up.
They're hanging out, man. Tomorrow night at U.S. Bank Stadium. Before the show, you can check out their pop-up high-voltage dive bar at the Machine Shop right across the river from U.S. Bank Stadium today and tomorrow. This Saturday is Record Store Day.
Love it.
Which is
so much.
really, really cool. And to discuss Record Store Day and to celebrate a little ahead of time, Stephen Williams from Down in the Valley, the Golden Valley location, the music buyer at Down in the Valley, and a man known around here colloquially as Mr. Ryder is in studio. Good morning, brother.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
Record Store Day is it's a high holiday for you guys. It's a holy day at Down in the Valley, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a busy day.
Yeah.
Down in the Valley.
Which
You're
is
a
a
record
good thing.
store, right?
We're a record store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that you're busy on Record Store Day. That would suck if you weren't.
It is so busy that it was in the marriage vows that I need to work Record Store Day.
That's true. We put it on a register.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good planning. That's good looking ahead.
Yeah.
Let's look back, though. Record Store Day started what year, roughly?
2008, I believe, was the first year.
That was the first one?
Yep.
I remember hearing about it back, so in 2008, I remember hearing that this thing was coming. And as a guy who spent a few years working at a used record store back in the 80s, I'm just such a fan of, I will still just walk into a record store and just don't buy a thing. Just flip through the bins, look at records, listen, think about buying. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it's just a whole way of life. Certainly, it was at one time in my life. For you, it still very much is. Did you imagine in 2008 Record Store Day would continue to balloon up to the thing it is now? Because it's a fairly significant situation for music fans every year now.
Yeah, it's really revitalized the vinyl industry. I mean, I'm a lifelong, I'm 25 years. This is the third record store I've worked at. Mm-hmm. So basically right out of high school, I've worked record stores ever since.
And so this is this really is you look forward to it. You're in on, and as the music buyer, I imagine you get a list of all the things that are available, and then you have to decide, well, what are we going to want to have here in store?
Yep, and then you never know exactly what you're going to get. Everything's allocated. It's all limited. But, as you being a record store employee yourself, that would have been the 90s? 80s?
Late 80s.
Late 80s. So, I started in the dark times.
Yeah.
Napster.
Yep.
No one really buying physical, and a lot of record stores closing. So if you went to 18-year-old Steven in 2000 and said, this record thing called Record Store Day and records are going to be everywhere, I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there when it was still, I've told my kids, record stores in the late 80s were like an Apple store now every day. It was just it was packed. It was full of people. But talk about those 18-year-olds now, because kids have come back around. I mean, what's the average, I shouldn't say what's the average age, but how many college and younger kids do you expect to see in the store Saturday? Pretty good percentage.
Oh, a ton of them, especially with the Taylor Swift and the Charlie XCX releases. But it's pretty fascinating I've always been kind of a music snob.
Right.
Right.
Well,
as Ryder would probably have told you, but
I wasn't going to say a damn word about that.
That's the first bar. The first bar of entry for any self-respecting indie record store clerk is you got to be able to look down your nose at people.
Yeah, but I'm never a snob in the store.
Yeah, I got
you. You're buying physical media, especially when I started when no one was buying it. I'm all for it. And, I remember 25 years ago, it was all basically just old dudes.
Yeah, sure.
And then punk kids.
Yeah.
And now, and I was a punk kid, not an old dude then. And now I'm an old dude.
Yeah.
And now it's a ton of
a punk kid.
And a punk kid.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. But now it's it's just, the average age is probably, teenage to early 30s. A lot more women shopping for records and young girls buying physical media. I think it's great. I'm all for it.
It's absolutely fantastic. Stephen Williams is with us on Gorman in the Morning, music buyer over at Down in the Valley in Golden Valley. And if you have been wondering about Record Store Day, because I know a lot of people that are still oh yeah, what is that thing? People who aren't paying close attention, but it has now gotten to the point where everybody is aware of it. If not sure what it is, they at least know that it is a thing. So this is the big one. There's two though. There's like a half-ass record store day on Black Friday and around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a
right?
smaller one, just really mostly really big bands, a few releases. This is the big one. There's like 300 some releases from everything.
So all types of music, all formats, like EPs, LPs, a million different things. And it really is every genre now. It used to, I think it initially was very much more limited back in 2008, 9, and 10. But now everybody's in on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's even Record Store Day exclusive CDs and cassettes.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if there's any cassettes this year, but there's CDs for sure.
There's been cassettes in previous years. I remember one dude was real bummed. What? I don't remember some Guns N' Roses thing he didn't get. Or what was it?
There was a Motley Crue one, and then it had a magnet in it in the packaging because the people who make these things don't know how the things work sometimes, the labels. So the magnet erased half the cassettes in the box. True story.
You think about that. You leave that thing untouched. 20, 50 years from now, 2050. What a jump that was.
Yeah.
20, 30 years from now, that's going to be worth a boatload of dough.
Yeah, unless it's all blank.
Even more
then
so.
somebody opens it and it's
Do you
like,
not watch Pawn Stars?
Oh, yeah,
that's what they want. They want that crazy, goofy stuff.
Oh, this is my favorite Motley Crue, and you put it in, it's just blank.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, it's just one of the blank ones. I can see the episode with Rick on Pawn Stars 20 years from now. Is this one of the ones that doesn't have any audio on it? Yes, it is. I really, really want this. Like, I can totally see that. It's ridiculous, but it's true.
I want to get around to some of the local stuff that's going to be available. But first, just the biggest name artists out there in any, like, what jumps off the page to you? Like, this is somebody that a lot of people care about, and they've got something special on Saturday.
Well, the biggest one is going to be the Taylor Swift 7-inch. It's her and Post Malone, and I think it's a Fortnite, which is a video game.
Fortnite, it's one of the songs off Tortured Poets Department. I have a 12-year-old. I have to know this stuff.
I don't know this.
Do you know, is it special tracks or what? Is it special packaging, maybe?
It's a 7-inch, and it's got Post Malone. Does the regular version have Post Malone on it?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure it's got an unreleased B-side or a remix or something.
Wow. Yeah, if you're a dad...
I'm not prepared to talk about the Taylor Swift record.
Okay.
If you're a dad, just get in line now is all you need to know, because they're going to be real hot.
Should I be there at 3 a.m.? For Taylor?
I'm not going to tell you what time to get in line.
People have gotten in line before 3 a.m.
People get in line the night before, like 4 o'clock the day before, and I'm just like, man...
Okay, so one question about this Taylor Swift 7-inch. How many copies did you order? Are you at liberty? Can you say?
God,
or no?
Can I say that? We have several hundred copies.
Wow, right on.
That's all I'm going to say. And I think it'll still sell out on that day.
Any chance that the band Duran Duran has anything for Record Store Day this year? Do you see Duran Duran on your list? I ask because Paul's a big fan.
I'd be in line.
You know what? There is.
What are we looking at?
Dance Macabre Deluxe 12-inch. So
that's a cool
They
record.
did a deluxe CD when that came out, and it had bonus tracks. And this is just the standalone bonus tracks that weren't on the vinyl version because they didn't do a deluxe vinyl version.
Wow. Fair enough.
Cool.
Stephen Williams, the music buyer at Down in the Valley, Golden Valley. Record Store Day is this Saturday. All right, let's talk about some local artists that have some releases coming out that I know a lot of our listeners will be excited to hear.
Yeah, like, first, I'm Mr. Ryder, and she told me to perk up, so I'm going to smile a little more when I talk
Perk it up,
here.
Mr. Ryder.
Dude, you're perked.
Those pearly
sell
whites.
those units,
Yeah,
dude.
so the biggest one, the one I'm most excited about is probably the Replacements.
Okay.
Even though this has already been out, but it was in a box set. So this is the remix. Like, this is my favorite Replacements album. It's Tim.
I'm right there with you 100%.
I know that's a controversial because most people, let it be. But I think Tim's the best one.
Pshaw.
So this has the Ed Stasium remix.
Yes.
Which I think is way better because it gets rid of, like, the 80s teeny production. And I'm totally in the minority on this because I read the comments, even though Ryder always like, don't read the comments.
Anybody who doesn't prefer the new mix over the old mix, that's the last thing I need to hear from them. I got that box set when it came out last year. I told this story. I got in my car. Rosemary and I were out for a drive, and I put it on how I could hear it loudly as I like to drive and listen to music. And I kid you not, I was crying. Not just like teary-eyed. I was literally like emotionally overwhelmed by what that album sounded like, having a real person mix it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they didn't use a toy drum kit after all. Listen to all of those backup vocals. It was an astonishing upgrade from also, for the record, my favorite Replacements record.
Yeah, and so there's 6,000 copies of those being pressed on purple vinyl. What it is you get the original mix, it's a double LP, and you get the new mix.
Oh my God, that's
really in one package.
That's a hilarious A and B right there, boy.
Yeah, and when I bring it home, Ryder will be like, "You already have this. Why do you buy this?
How many copies of
do you
Tim
need?"
do you have in the house right now?
Not enough.
That's the right answer for sure. All right, that's great. What else have we got?
Jayhawks, the first album, Blue Earth.
Nice.
Which has never been reissued. That's a twin tone record, so I think it was like 89.
That's never been reissued.
89. Never been reissued on vinyl.
Shocking.
And this one is on blue vinyl, and it has a bonus 7-inch record with 4 tracks that have never been on vinyl. So 4 bonus tracks.
Okay, I'm 2 for 2 right now.
That's 3,000 copies.
I'll be getting both of those. What else you got for me?
Soul Asylum.
Easy, Paul. Paul.
This one's
how excited he is.
After the flood, live from the Grand Forks prom. So Grand Forks had a big flooding in 96.
Yeah.
Okay. And they played the prom. They recorded it. It's been on CD. Like it came out in the CD in the late 90s.
I fancy myself a pretty big Soul Asylum fan, and I didn't know they ever actually played a prom. And I love the fact that what you explained is that Dave totally catered to the kids because they didn't care about who Soul Asylum was. But I'm just going to take your words.
Yeah.
He was down for the cause, and the fact that he would, totally create a set list for them is just I love this. And a quick side note, this is not made up. My uncle was a mayor up there around the flood.
Okay, yeah. And my boss is he's from North Dakota, and he has family that went to this their prom.
I went to the prom.
Too,
wow.
Yeah. So there's cover songs and stuff. That's a double LP. They're only making 3,000 copies.
Soul Asylum playing the prom beats
that.
the hell out of the cover band I had called Hot Dancin'. That's a story for another day. All right, anything else locally we need to be aware of?
Well, then you got...
Well, there's this other guy.
This guy, maybe you heard of Prince.
Oh.
His Royal Badness, of course. What's he got going on?
So he's got a triple LP.
Of course he does. I'm surprised it's not a quad.
Live at Grand Slam.
Oof. It's only 3 songs, too.
And the best part is this triple LP was taken out as a standalone piece from a giant box set that came out a few years ago. That's
awesome.
Like a $400 ridiculous box set.
Yeah.
So, and that one's just black vinyl. It's 4,000 copies. And that's going to be of all the local stuff, that'll be the most sought after.
If you're going to scratch the surface of Twin Cities music, Jayhawk, Soul Asylum Replacements, and Prince is a pretty good scratching of the surface.
Yeah, that's all the heavy hitters.
Not a lot of cities have a four off the top of your head quite like that.
We didn't even say Bob Dylan.
No,
that 4. That's insane.
Pretty impressive right there. Okay, so. That's very exciting. Down in Nevada, what time do you guys open on Saturday?
We open at 9 o'clock, and there will be a line.
Yeah.
You know what I always tell people? Like, either what time should I get in line? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have a lot of records. I have a ton of records. I love records. I don't know if I'd wait in line overnight to buy records.
Yeah.
If you want to, more power to you. That's cool. A lot of people have like the camaraderie. They love to talk to people and wait in line for anything, not just records. You know, movies and concert tickets. Some of the stuff that's not the most, a lot of the stuff will be around in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Especially the local stuff where we have a lot of copies of, and
I used to field that question, what time should I get in line for free events, quite frequently. And here's the line that I came up with. Determine how important it is to you to get what you're looking for, and then just go from there. And get there as early. Like you said, part of Record Store Day is standing in line with those people.
Yeah, it's the fun.
Sharing in the experience together. So if you feel like you need to if it's like, you know what, I have to have this, then get there early.
And every year there's people that convince the people next to them that they should buy this record that they're excited for. I love stuff like that, It
is as an overview, Record Store Day is an opportunity to, if you've never experienced it, to recognize and to maybe for the first time be a part of that kind of a community where it's very much. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking earlier. The recommendations, the suggestions, it's a very inclusive and supportive. It's a great hang. Record stores are great
100%.
hangs, and so for down the valley and every record store, anywhere your check, any indie store is going to have cool stuff going on.
Oh yeah, and some stores are doing like in stores and stuff.
Yeah.
We, last year we had Soul Asylum play.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're not doing any in stores. It's just, sometimes it's hard for the employees to celebrate afterwards and have a good time. So we're going to go out for beers as
Sometimes
employees.
it's hard for the employees to go out for a beer if Perner wants to shop late into the night.
That's how that
also
works.
true. And it's just a lot of work. So this year we're not doing anything like that. But we're going to have coffee truck out there, and we're going to have all our neighbors do food specials. We got
awesome
cash and carry, some tickets from Live Nation, and beer samples and stuff. So
great. That sounds like a good time. Ryder, any notes before we let your husband leave, or did he do okay?
I think he did fantastic. I think we're going to sell twice as many records as we were before this went down.
Sounds great.
We could always turn this into a Ask Me Anything About Ryder, too, if you want.
I
love that segment for the future.
Going.
Yeah,
I like that.
That sounds like a Friday, so that you guys get to go fight all weekend afterwards.
We never fight, though.
Or maybe on a day that she's gone.
Even better. Right on. Steven, thanks for coming by, brother.
Thanks for having me.
A little ahead of 9 o'clock on the 9th. And we're feeling Minnesota, which means it's time for some headlines. Paul Fletcher, what is going on?
Scientists, forget sleeping. You know what? I posted audio last night of a nebula and what it sounds like. And I listened to it right before I went to sleep. Bad move. This is going to make tonight even more difficult. Scientists are exploring an underwater volcano off Canada's Pacific coast. And they made some surprising discoveries.
Okay.
There's an ancient volcano they believe to be inactive. It's actually active, releasing warm fluids into the surrounding waters.
That's how islands are made, though, right? Does this give us a new island?
Potentially, I
Okay.
suppose.
All right.
Sure.
Well, that's cool.
Provided it doesn't, blow up everything.
Somebody was paying attention in class.
Yeah, I was a model student until I wasn't.
It was that first joint. That was it.
Yeah.
That ruined it for everything. That wasn't the most surprising part, though, of their discoveries. They also found around 1 million, I don't know how they calculated this, 1 million large eggs. To what, you might ask? They belong to the Pacific white skate, a deep-sea fish related to rays and sharks.
Yeah.
That I understand are terrifying.
The Pacific white skate does look like a combination stingray shark. It's hardly, it's not your friendly, that'll be cute, let's go watch them hatch. It's more like, no, let's get real far away, Ryder.
Is this like the liger of the ocean?
Oh, very well could be.
Wow.
You know what?
That's a good
I don't
question.
know, but I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. Yes, it is.
I like it.
When you say thousands, or was it millions of eggs?
Millions of eggs.
Millions of eggs. I just picture the movie Alien when Ripley walks into that part of the spaceship and it's just eggs everywhere. And she realizes, this flamethrower is probably not going to do the job on its own. That's what that makes me think of. Millions of eggs of giant, scary, white, weird-looking stingray sharkfish. Not good.
You just did the double threat to me. You got the skin to crawl and the spine to tingle all at the same time. Imagine all those rays coming to the surface at the same time. I don't think it would happen, but still.
Not cool.
Man.
Valley Fair has announced they're set to open May 11th. Popular events are back, like Valley Scare, Latin Day, Corn Fest. Corn Fest is amazing. Those are some of the main highlights, but they've also got a new one.
Okay.
And it sounds delicious. The inaugural Juicy Lucy Festival is going to happen over 2 weekends in July. And they've got people working on crafting a variety of Juicy Lucies. For
Juicy Lucy.
I mean, there's nothing better than chugging down, just hammer a Juicy Lucy and then go on the wild thing.
Yes. I want to see that
put it all over
everywhere.
everybody. Yeah.
Wow. It makes me think of the fact, but I'm going to go back about 12 years, and I started having some weird pains in my side. I'd have a meal, and an hour later, I was like, ow, this hurts. And I went to a doctor, and I said, hey, why does this hurt? And he did some tests, and he did a scan, and he looked at me, and he said, you've got a little gallbladder thing happening, like a little sludge in there. And
Sludge?
And I was like, what do you mean? And I said, I've heard about that. Is that something you want to remove? He goes, well, I could. I don't want to. And he goes, you know what you can do? You want to clear this out? I said, yeah. He goes, just drop red meat, dairy, and alcohol. How's that going to work? And I went,
yeah, sure.
What remains? And he said, no. And I did for a few months. And I felt great.
Yeah.
And then I jumped right back on the horse, and I had a Juicy Lucy last week, in fact. So,
oh, yeah?
But the idea of a Juicy Lucy festival, it makes my side hurt. I immediately went to I think that's it's a phantom gallbladder pain from 12 years ago.
Well, if you, if you do it right at Valley Fair, you could very easily evacuate that Juicy Lucy almost immediately and not have those side effects.
All right. Whatever it takes. I'm always up for a new strategy.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the Morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Minnesota's 92 KQRS. The White Stripes right there. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee for the second year in a row this year, the White Stripes. Jack White was at the Palace the last 2 nights in St. Paul. I very regrettably just didn't have the gas to get out last night. Thought about it, but just couldn't pull the trigger.
Sorry, Ryder. Last week we joked. I don't remember if it was on mic or after mic, but off mic. But you offered Ryder tickets, and I went, "Wait a minute, I've never seen them. What the hell?" And then you did offer, and I still didn't have the gas. Like I labored it all day with you yesterday on text. Like
you know what took me out of the running is trying to get home at 5 p.m. From St. Paul. My 4-mile drive took an hour. And I was like, I'm not going back out into that crap tonight. Right. And then it was just too much.
That First Avenue show that we went to, though, was so fantastic.
That was great.
I almost didn't want to ruin how good that was by going to see him at the Palace. So I know that doesn't really help him out, where I'm like, nope, ultimate Jack White performance. You've nailed it. Now I'm never going to see you again.
No, but it's fun for you and I to talk about the fact that we did just see him a few months ago and Paul didn't. We can just keep rubbing that
I didn't want to dive down that one. But
you know what's terrible about that is I'm actually embarrassed. I didn't even know it was happening until after it was done.
These things happen.
Yeah.
You got to keep your thumb on the pulse, man. It's tough.
Well, when you're on the couch, it's tough to keep anything on any pulse.
It's very true. Cedar Rapids, Iowa Public Library has partnered up with a brewer down there, a brewing company. They've got a new beer. They're calling Library Lager.
Yes.
The new drink. They're trying to raise awareness about the Cedar Rapids Public Library Foundation. The guy at the brewery is like, hey, man, this library holds a special place in my heart. We're creating this beer to raise awareness for the fact that we're here. It's a great public service. Only problem I have is they're not serving beer at the library.
Get the kegerator in the library.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want me to come in and search through the microfiche for headlines from the 70s like we used to? Give me a beer and I'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking at me like, microfiche? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm well aware of microfiche.
Okay,
I just can't believe you referenced it just now.
You're
such a Luddite.
It just came out. Out of the blue right there.
That was beautiful.
You want me in a public library? As Ryder said, show up with a kegerator. Let's make it happen.
Here's what you do: you put it into the bookshelf, build it right into the bookshelf, and then make it look like it's fronted, like have a fake front of books. And just have a keg
like
spout.
A secret.
Yeah.
Secret door.
Or that. I was thinking that the keg spits out of the side of the bookshelf. And then you have a front of books to cover the keg.
Like you pull
and you just walk up and pull.
The secret book off of the shelf, and then the beer just pours out because the tap is hidden.
That's genius.
Cedar Rapids, you missed an opportunity.
They certainly did. The world of science is giving us more proof. Listen, humanity's not doomed, but men certainly are. Make no mistake. I'll explain.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
You go on, Dave. David Bowie changes right there. I was on a run with David Bowie in 2004. I was playing with a band called Stereophonics, and our piano player, Tony, was a massive Bowie fan. He's a Manc guy from Manchester, England, and every night I'd go to the soundboard to watch David Bowie because it was David Bowie. And every night I'd stand next to Tony, and under his breath, he wasn't even aware he was doing it. It was like he was watching a soccer game. He'd be like, go on, Dave. Yeah, Dave. Yeah, get it, Dave. He was like to himself watching Bowie perform. He'd be like, oh, boy, Dave. Yeah, Dave. And I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. You're rooting Dave on like he's taking free kicks. Absolutely fantastic.
Taking penalties.
You can't outrun Father Time, can you? No, you can't. You also can't outrun a horse, although a lot of people seem to think they can. A poll has found out 2% of Americans in a poll about outrunning animals said, yeah, I think I can outrun a horse.
One in 50.
1 in 50 says, yeah, I can outrun a horse. The fastest human ever on record is Usain Bolt. He was once hit 28 miles per hour. 28 miles per hour running upright. Horses hit in the 40s. You're not outrunning a horse. I don't care who you are. You're not outrunning most animals, but a horse for sure.
Well, so they went on to add, though, that it at distance, that the physiology of a human, the endurance, we would hang on longer, and so in a longer race. But they're talking 100 meters.
Well,
like that's the thing that's insane. We're not talking about running to Rhode Island from here. We're talking about 100 meters.
Horses are inherently smarter because they never put themselves in a situation where they have to run 26.2 miles.
Right?
See? That's just not going to come up in their life. They know exactly what's happening. This reminds me of the fact that survey after survey, every time they ask this question, an alarming number of men in this country always answer positive to the question, do you think in an emergency you could land an airliner? You're on the plane, pilot has a heart attack.
What
let
percentage
me hop in there. It's like always 30 to 40%. I think I could. I think they could talk. I think the tower could talk me down and I could land a 747. Here's the answer. No, you couldn't.
No.
No,
you couldn't.
Get right with God. When they say, hey, can you land a plane? The answer is no, but maybe what I can do is pretend I can to give the other passengers comfort. Like, that's it. That's all you. That's your best bet.
You don't trust those air traffic controllers and those people, but like they have the schematics of what the board looks like. They just got to tell you what buttons to push.
I trust them entirely. You know what I don't trust? Look, this board that I'm speaking through confuses me with these very few knobs and buttons. I'm alarmed by this. I still struggle at times to make sense of a smartphone. I'm not going to land an air. Look at how many knobs and dials and whiz bangs and woohoos are going on in a cockpit. Ain't going to happen. I got to have my foot one place. I got to have my right arm over here. My left arm's doing this. I watch videos all the time of there's a Facebook account, and it's just pilots landing and taking off in airplanes. You're just watching the pilot as they're taking off and landing, and all I think is, they have 39 things at every split second they're keeping tabs with. It ain't going to happen.
Switches, dials, buttons in the cockpit of a Boeing 747?
Yeah.
Around? Care to guess?
No, I don't even want to know.
10,000.
Thank you.
So, no. Get right with God, as you said.
Yeah, that's it.
Make other people feel like you can, but no.
Ryder, are you trying to suggest that you could, in fact, land an airplane if need be?
If I'm if I'm in the right mindset and I'm with a really good partner on the ground and they can say like, okay, reach for the third knob up, fourth one over, and do blah, 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 I can be really good at following directions.
You know what? That's a producer coming out, and you're right. You probably do better than me. See,
quick
that's
question.
What it is.
Do you typically indulge in PBRs when you're on a plane?
I do not, no.
Okay, well then maybe.
Because the guts go awry.
Only because you can't find a PBR on a plane.
No, you ain't finding a PBR on any commercial airline.
Okay, then I'll be more general. Adult beverages on a plane.
I think I drank too many one time, and like Tim Pawlenty was on the plane, and I was like, did a hey Teepaw, and then I embarrassed myself, so I shut that down. Plus, it's way cheaper.
Wow. Yeah, I like to go on a plane. I like to be clear-minded. I just, for whatever reason, I don't have any interest.
Okay,
I'll have
so
one ahead of time.
None of us are going to land a plane. None of us are going to outrun a horse.
I think I could maybe outrun a horse because I don't think you guys are thinking about this right.
Okay, how should we be thinking about
all
this?
All of the horses that I've ever encountered in my life, and they're not race horses. They're just like trail horses up north when we go to Lutsen, and they're just walking around and they give zero Fs about running against me.
And they have names like Clyde and Molly.
Yeah.
Those horses.
Yeah, those lazy ones. So you walk the two of us up to the starting line. The horse does not have a jockey. It's really just out there enjoying its day. You say ready, set, go. I know I'm supposed to run. The horse is going to just meander. So if that's the situation, maybe these 2% of people have nailed it. Maybe they could, in fact, outrun a horse.
The woman's outrunning a horse and landing a plane. This is very impressive, Ryder.
I'll tell you what, she outthought this entire study as well.
Apparently so.
Because in that case, yes, plausible. I think you're probably right.
The bulk of horses, I don't believe, are race horses.
But also keep in mind that these 1 in 50 men these are meatheads that think that they're going to be at Churchill Downs lining up against a racehorse and think they have a shot.
There's got to be at least one animal you think you could outrun.
Snail. I could totally smoke a snail.
You got that snail? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe the ground sloth that we talked about the other day.
It's worth considering. Ryder, to your point, we're not talking thoroughbreds here. I have, if you ever get a chance, though, to be near a thoroughbred horse, like say you go to a race, like a horse race, like say, I don't know, maybe the Kentucky Derby. I've been a few times, and I have been able to go into the paddock and get up close next to one of those thoroughbreds. And if you ever get a chance, just take your hand and slap it right there on the hindquarter. It's granite. Those animals are solid muscle. and you can't understand it until you're up close to them. It's kind of intimidating, and I was like, oh, I know nothing about this world.
You know what superheroes look like in comics where the muscles are just bouncing everywhere?
That's what they look like.
That's what a horse looks like. We've got a little place here called Canterbury Park. You can go there and you can touch the animals and see them up close. That's where I've seen them, and they look like a caricature of a real horse.
It really is astonishing to see a thoroughbred up close. That's all I'm saying. I've also seen a llama up close, and it bit me in the back of the head and tried to rip my scalp off. That was a different story. But let me tell you something. I could have outrun that animal because the adrenaline I had going as a llama took my head in its mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I could have outrun that llama.
Probably faster than a llama.
I got to think of llamas, or an alpaca. Either one. They're not used to running, are they?
I adopted an alpaca for Mr. Ryder because I can't buy him any records. He already owns all of them.
Okay.
And at one point, it did start jogging and felt like a little bit like they could outrun us if they were properly motivated.
35 miles an hour, so probably not.
Yeah, probably not. My daughter is going to spend some time, not to go into any details, but she's going to spend a little time this summer with some cheetahs.
I mean, that's very cool.
That's very cool. And I just double-checked that, yes, that's 50 to 80 miles per hour on the cheetah.
80?
80, up to 80.
Yeah, they're capable of
briefly. They don't stay there very long, but they do get up. They do get up and get it running. Yeah. I saw a video online the other day, a couple years ago, and it was like an animated simulation of every animal on Earth, how fast it can go at its fastest rate, and it's like starts with your tortoise, and then it's passed by this, and at some point early in the run, you see a human at full speed. But the number of things, an ostrich and an emu, the number of animals that can outrun a human, is frankly embarrassing. I mean, we got opposable thumbs and a really, really active brain, but running, we're getting our asses kicked.
Yeah, and we don't need to win. We don't need to win. It's okay. I'm fine with not winning.
We got those e-scooters now that everyone wants to
exactly
jump
right.
on.
All summer long, baby.
Yeah.
And possibly winter.
And possibly the winter. That's right.
Oh my
Tomorrow
goodness.
on Gorman in the Morning, Dave Hill's going to be with us.
I love this so much. I love Dave Hill. He's the happiest Canadian dude. He plays guitar. He loves toast. And he loves hockey. And you know what? He apparently loves Clem Burke because he posted it on his Instagram the other day. Yeah. So here's my prediction for tomorrow. You and Dave Hill become fast friends. That's my prediction.
The idea that someone could be the happiest Canadian, mind-boggling to me.
That's a really high bar.
Happy group of folks up there.
He's a good dude, though. I mean, I don't know him. I've never met him, but I've followed him pretty religiously on Instagram for a while, and he's a happy dude.
Looking very forward to that. We're also going to play a game we call Rank You Very Much on the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
But long before tomorrow, what about right now? Coming up on KQ, Minnesota's 92 KQRS. Hey, it's our buddy Paul Fletcher.
I'll probably play some songs and mix in some talking and then play some more songs.
Well, I know what I'm doing for the next few hours.
Gorman in the Morning is also Gorman on the go. Get the 92 KQRS app and stream live or catch the Gorman in the Morning podcast anytime. 92 KQRS.